prepare to race onto the field. Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
And we got a lot of dudes, man. I mean, a lot of RLDs, real live dudes that are flying around, and we should wreck shop.
You know, I'm not going to tell you what we have done. We're just going to go out there and we're going to continue to show you. We've made leaps and bounds since the spring, and we're going to continue to take leaps and bounds. So that's a goal of ours, and, you know, we're dead set on proving that. Forget talking about it.
I think there's been tremendous growth in this football team. You know, you look at where we finished spring ball, and then the guys that we've gotten back from injury, the guys that have been brought in through the transfer portal, the development of some of our young guys. We're a much deeper football team than we were. That shows up on offense and defense. It shows up in your ability to play on special teams too. Our young guys are continuing to take strides that make you feel like they have an opportunity to go out there and play September 2nd and play at a really high level too.
Good Tuesday evening. I got it fixed. I fixed that this morning. I fixed it. Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber.
And I'm that real live dude, the Indie Kid.
Oh, you just changed your screen name at the bottom to Real Live Dude. Guys, the Vols wrapped up second and final scrimmage of fall camp today inside of Neyland Stadium. It was a wet one, but sounds like Josh Heupel liked that. Get some of that work in during the rainfall. But we're going to go through some comments that Josh Heupel made during the press conference today. We've got a few listener questions coming out of the Talkin VAWLS group on Facebook. If you're not a member of that group, go search it up, go join it. I like to interact with you guys. But we got a few questions from there. And as always, we'll see what you guys have going on in the chat. Speaking of, let's run it down. Let's see who's hanging out with us tonight. Bright and early, the Southern Life is here. Says, I'm here so early, the checkerboard is not painted yet. Well, Aussie Man wants to help you get it painted. Come on in, guys. Make sure you do go ahead and smash that thumbs up. If you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell for notifications so you don't miss out when we go live, when we drop content. Billy Smart is here. He has joined the channel. Thank you so much, Billy, for becoming a member. You now have access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Guys, show them how to use them. Jump down there in the chat. Show them the custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Kenny Jones is here and says, Go Big Orange Blitz 621. What's up, Blitz? I feel like I haven't talked to you
it's been a while.
Probably since this morning in the comment section. But whatever. Vol Nation News says, let's go. Who else we got? Cody Branch is here. Derek Rogers is here. Welcome, guys. Come on in. Like I said, smash the thumbs up. We got a lot to talk about. So let's just jump right in. What do you guys want to start with? You guys want to start with I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Indie Kid, I'll let you kick us off. What do you want to talk about tonight? No pressure.
Let's go with the obvious here. I'm going to be the obvious guy. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. That's the big topic.
That's a good starting point because, like I said, we got questions coming in from the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group. That was one of the questions. Let's roll into Josh Heupel's comments today in the press conference after the scrimmage. Then we'll talk about the quarterback position.
When we see separation, we're ready to say something, then I'll come down here and do that. That group has continued to compete and handle things the right way, and I like the growth of that group from day to day. But you just look from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, who they are during the course of the practices leading up to today. That group's continuing to trend and go in the right direction.
I like that he chuckles there because I got a comment from my good buddy G Watt 713. I think that's the number. I love you, man, but I know you love Harrison Bailey. He was saying that based on those comments that Josh Heupel doesn't know his quarterback. Indie Kid, I know you don't believe that for 1 second.
Joe Milton's the quarterback. I'm just going to get straight into it. Unless there's an injury, Joe Milton is the quarterback. People who've seen the scrimmage behind closed doors have really raved about him. And he's the first guy up every time. Harrison Bailey, I would even venture to say, is third string right now. from everything I'm reading, it's Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, Harrison Bailey. Doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean it won't change at some point during the season. But in a couple weeks, when Tennessee takes on Bowling Green, the first snap will be taken by Joe Milton, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah,
I feel like
I
go ahead.
totally
Dobber.
agree. Totally agree. Seems like all the highlights we're seeing are either Milton or Hooker.
And Joe Milton did you see the picture today? He is an absolute monster for a quarterback.
Big dude. It's one of those things. It boils down to it. The three of us don't care who it is. We just want somebody to be in there that is guiding the team successfully down the field and scoring points. But it certainly looks like it's going to be Milton. It's hard to argue with evidence that's coming out.
I feel like every time we talk about the quarterback position that I have to defend myself. And, you know, it's not that we're all saying that Joe Milton is the next Peyton Manning. That's not what we're saying. Simply just putting it out there that he's going to be the guy. Whether you like it or not, he's the guy that Josh Heupel is going to start. And it doesn't mean that he's going to succeed. He might not succeed. We don't know. We don't know. But I think he is the guy that is going to, like any kid said, he's going to trot out there against Bowling Green. And I want to kind of blend this into one of the comments or one of the questions from the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group. Steve Truitt, I hope that's how you pronounce it. The question he has is, if the chosen quarterback is not successful, how long are the fans going to endure it? And they're not. There is a certain group of fans. You guys know how much I hate Jimmy Himes, but I saw him in an interview and he was talking about the overall pulse of the fan base. And he was like, well, you've got your people that think, you know, they're always optimistic. I could probably say guilty as charged. They think Josh Heupel's going to get it done, whatever. Then you've got your kind of middle of the road people that are, he's got to prove it to me. He's got to do it on the field of play before I buy in. And then you've got your negavols, for lack of a better word. That's what they are. And it's almost as if they thrive on Tennessee not having success.
They would rather be right than have Tennessee
100%.
win.
Yeah.
And I feel like those people, if Joe Milton comes out against Bowling Green and throws an interception, instead of saying, all right, shake it off, let's see how Joe Milton bounces back, they're going to start to put Harrison Bailey and stuff. And what is it about this fan base and Harrison Bailey?
Homegrown guy. I mean, not when I say homegrown, obviously he's not from Tennessee, but the home recruit guy. He wasn't a transfer.
This should tell you all you need to know. That tells you all you need to know.
That, you know, there's probably other reasons that the fan base want Harrison Bailey, but I think maybe they just, you know, highly recruited quarterback coming in. I don't know. Maybe there's that connection with him. And like you said, a lot of people thinking he's the next Peyton Manning. I think people just don't want to accept that maybe he's not. I don't know. I still say there's other reasons that people want Harrison Bailey over the other two guys, but I think there's, and I know you'll hit that super chat, but Milton to JG, I've seen those comparisons, and you know, Hendon Hooker hasn't necessarily killed it at Virginia Tech, but
yeah, let me hit the super chat because it does apply to what we're talking about right now. Dustin Sellers for $5. Thank you, Dustin. We appreciate that. Super chat says, I've heard Tennessee fans comparing Milton to JG. I have too. I've seen it all over the place. Says he wasn't amazing at Michigan, but can we move beyond the past and negavols support whomever that is? I don't get the comparison to Jarrett Garantano either, but there are people that are obsessed with that kid. And, you know, we tried for so long, and I feel like we did a good job not throwing Jarrett Garantano under the bus, but there are people that are following him at Washington State just hoping that he fails. And that's just a miserable human being, whether football or just life in general. Let the kid go. Let the past be the past. It's time to move on, Dauber.
Yeah, absolutely. And not throwing this out there as an excuse, but you look at Milton, and he started off pretty well at Michigan and then had an injury and dealt with that. An injury to his throwing hand, his thumb. Actually had surgery in the offseason, if I'm not correct. But, add that in. The guy's got a lot of upside. I mean, face it, all three of the quarterbacks there have upside. And I could see all three of them, barring injury or something, that they could all get out there on the field and play. I don't have any doubt in that. One of the big differences this year, and I'm excited to see, that this staff is going to develop and push these guys. And I think that's where you have Heupel coming out with his comments today when asked directly about the quarterbacks. When there's separation, we'll come out here and let you know. They know right now. They have an idea, but they're trying to get the best out of these guys. They're trying to get these guys to push themselves and push each other to be the best QB1 that they can be, be the best QB2 they can be. Because, face it, you're in the SEC, you're one play away from being the next guy in.
All right, here's a couple. We're going to continue to roll out this quarterback conversation because a lot of super chats coming in talking about the quarterback position, so we'll just continue to feed off of that. Dustin Sellers back with another 5, says P.S. I'm going to throw a little insult in here. JG threw a pick on his first throw at the red-white game for Washington State. Man, I'm just ready for that kid. I wish him the best. I think leaving Knoxville was probably the best thing that Jarrett Garantano should have or could have done. Maniac 7G for $5. Thank you, Maniac. Says Harrison Bailey was the best and most efficient quarterback at the orange and white game. I can't back Milton without seeing him play. I saw Bailey ball out in person. All right, I'm going to rip this one to shreds. Guys, it's one spring game, one spring practice, one spring scrimmage. I don't know how much, I know some people follow more than others. It is what it is. We, the three of us, followed spring as in-depth as you could possibly follow it. Every report coming out that Hendon Hooker was QB1 and Harrison Bailey was behind him. It is what it is, guys. It's true. You just because you watched one spring game doesn't mean anything. Just the same as judging what Joe Milton did at Michigan, it's not the same. Sure, you can say, it may raise some red flags, but Indy Kid, that the orange and white game argument, not valid.
Well,
agree?
Well, Troy Lee makes a comment here.
That's what I was going to say.
Jancic also looked like a Heisman wide receiver that day. He's not even
he's not even crack the starting lineup. Yeah, I mean, he may play special teams.
I don't even think he'll do that.
Yeah, he's mop up at best. Yeah, good point, Troy Lee. Absolutely. The orange and white game was fun. Harrison Bailey did. There's part of me thinks he has a little bit of that more when the lights come on is when he shines. But you've said it, Boogie. Something is missing with Bailey. Doesn't mean – and he's only in his second year in college. He missed last year. We've covered it. He missed so much time last year in fall. Didn't get to go through spring practice prior to his freshman year. As far as his decision-making, it's pretty good, but he holds on to the ball too long. And that is still the case. And, I would say this once, not if, when Joe Milton wins the job, it's a long season. Who knows what can happen? Maybe Joe Milton gets into the game and doesn't play well. I think Joe Milton's going to be fine. Everybody that sees him says he has the tools. It's not a case of arm strength or anything like that. It's a case of can he make those checkdowns? Can he make those short throws? But he is Joe Milton is going to be the quarterback. I'm not sure why they're not announcing it. But also, and we've said it the whole time, when Joe Milton was brought in, I really think the writing was on the wall.
Let me get caught up. We got a lot of money coming our way, a lot of super chats coming in. I want to try to stay on top of these. Guys, we do appreciate the support. We'll continue. Like I said, we got questions coming in from the Talkin VAWLS group. We're going to take your questions. We're going to try to get through as much as we can. We'll stay. Last year we tried to stick to an hour. This year, it's no holds barred. We'll stay on all night long. There's no more curfew. There's no more time limit. I just have one favor. I got to ask you guys now, bright and early, smash that thumbs up. We got 174 people watching, and 3 people were so pissed off about something that they hit thumbs down before we ever went live. So help us out. Hit that thumbs up. Let me get caught up on these super chats. Evan Counts. Wow. $50. He walked up to the table, dropped a 50, and walked away. Didn't even say hello, but thank you, Evan. We appreciate that generous super chat.
I think you pissed a bunch of people off saying it was Thursday, and then they realized it was Tuesday.
The first comment that came through this morning on my video was, Boogie, it's Tuesday, not Thursday. I said that means it was a long Monday. John Hill with a $5 super chat. Thank you, John. Says, whoever our quarterback is, let's get behind him and hope for the best. I don't think Josh Heupel will be timid about pulling a QB that isn't performing well. You know, that's an interesting question because I feel like he wants them to go out and play loose, play aggressive. Forget the mistakes, forget the success. If you throw a touchdown, forget it, move on. If you throw an interception, forget it, move on. I think he will pull the guy if he's not succeeding. I think you're right there in the grand scheme of things. But on the flip side of that, I think Jeremy Pruitt was so quick to yank people out of the game that, number one, it ruined Harrison Bailey. Absolutely ruined him. May have ruined JT Shrout too. You know, I feel like those guys never got a fair shake, but that's just my 2 cents. Joshua Harmon for $4.99. Thank you, Joshua. We appreciate it. I don't care who it is as long as they put us in the best position to win. I think people think Bailey is the next Manning without any real proof. We kind of talked about that earlier, Dauber, but what is it? Why, Dauber? I'm going to make you answer the impossible question. Why do people think that Harrison Bailey is a guaranteed success without a whole lot of proof? But on the flip side, they are so against Joe Milton based off of a little bit of film from Michigan with an injury.
Right. I mean, if you look at Bailey, yeah, he put up gaudy numbers in high school, holds so many state Georgia records behind Trevor Lawrence and whoever else it was. But you can't base it off on that either. He came in, missed a lot of time last year, missed spring and fall camp, got in and showed that he likes to hold on to the ball a lot. Granted, we've talked about this before. I don't think the staff did him or the other quarterbacks on the team last year any favors by developing them or pushing them or driving them to be better. And that's the state of the quarterback room from last year. I think it's totally different this year.
Yeah, and I like that Josh Heupel seems to have confidence in all 3 guys. So,
you look at Halsey, the quarterback coach, and his very first comments were, we want these guys to not play scared. And to your point just a minute ago, that's what happened a lot last year. You had guys playing scared, looking over their shoulder, worried about getting yanked out of the game. And I don't think that that's the case this year. We talked about it a couple shows ago, the word trust. And Coach Heupel brought it up a couple times today in his press conference. And especially dealing with his talk about the quarterbacks. It was, we'll put the guy out there that we have the most trust in. And I think that's a key. It's not so much what can you do on the field, but do we trust you to manage and lead this team?
I'm going to play that clip from today talking about trust. Then we'll get through some more of these super chats. Guys, we appreciate you being so generous. Like I said, we'll stay on all night long. Let's hear what Josh Heupel had to say about trust.
About guys that you trust at this point, they're going to go out and compete the way that you want them to, and I'm just talking about effort, right? And then the ability to reset from play to play, and the guys that understand their alignment, assignment, and can communicate out there on the football field. It's never just about 11 guys, man. It's about as many guys that are going to prove that they're going to play at a high enough level to help you go win. And finding roles for those guys, and that's offense, defense, and special teams. And today, right, is probably our last major scrimmage, but it's not the last piece of their development before we go out and play. We got to continue to push and strain here as we lead up to kickoff.
How much better?
Let's get caught up on these super chats. Vol Nation News GBO for $1.99. Thank you for the support. He says he played spring game against walk-on DBs. LOL. I saw some other people talking about how many guys were out on that defense. You know, that was the big question mark all spring long, was the defense. So it is what it is. You want to base your starting quarterback off of one spring scrimmage. Cody Branch for 5. Thank you, Cody. Says, for support, boys, me and my brother contracted COVID and thought it was a common cold, and it's biting me in the ass. Keep up the good work. Thank you for the super chat, Cody. Hang in there, buddy. Been there, done that. It's not fun, and I've heard that this new variant it's just a different animal. It's a different animal. But hang in there, buddy. Let us know how it goes. Hopefully you kick it pretty quick. Steve Trey. How do you say that, Indy kid? Trewitt? Steve Trewitt. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel. You've now got access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Guys, show them how to do it. Drop them in the chat. Show them those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Steve, I hope you caught it earlier. We actually addressed your question you dropped in the Facebook group. So I hope you caught that. $5 super chat from Bill Lowe. Thank you, Bill. Says, I just want the Vols to win, as do we all. I think Dauber said it a little bit earlier. No matter who the guy is, we are going to be pulling for him, whether it's Harrison Bailey, whether it's Joe Milton, or Hendon Hooker. I'm trying to find there's another super chat here. Bear with me. Sorry. Steve comes back with another 5. Thank you, Steve. Says Bailey will be past Hooker by the second game, if not the first. I don't know. Elijah Allen for 5. Thank you, Elijah. Milton had no one to throw to at Michigan, and I trust Heupel more than Harbaugh as far as quarterbacks are concerned. I agree with that. Tell me somebody that's been developed at quarterback at Michigan. Papa T in SC, also known as Vol Nation. What's up, buddy? For 5, says, hey, family, I got 5 on it. Unfortunately, our fan base has been dropped and disappointed over a decade. Trust will be restored by winning with Joe Milton. Papa T's a big Joe Milton guy. He's always got my back when I drop a video about Joe Milton. But how much of that is it, Indy Kid? How much is battered Vol syndrome when it comes to what I call a nega Vol? Maybe it's just somebody that can't buy in at this point.
It is, and a lot of people want to see it. They want to see it proven. We keep seeing coach after coach. And, you know, maybe there's a glimmer of hope at some point, and then it just turns back. It just turns back to crap. I think a lot of people are still on the fence. It's not that they don't want to support, but it's just prove it to me. There is that portion of the fan base, like we said, they're just going to be negative. They're looking for anything to do. Like I said, if Milton comes out and throws an interception on the first drive, it's going to be like, oh, get him out of there. He's got to go. But BVS is real. There is no doubt about it. Josh Heupel, it'd be nice to have a decent season to kind of get that momentum changing.
Well, and listen, we've not even touched on the NCAA stuff and how much of a uphill climb that impacts Heupel and what he's trying to do and recruits, because we still don't know. It's still just hanging around there. We're kind of in limbo. And Danny White made a couple comments about it the other day.
Did you see he got in trouble for that?
Yeah.
So his attorneys told him to. It's like he didn't even say anything. Like there was no real update.
But it's one of those things. I think it's easy to become jaded and have apathy set in. I know at times I've been like, man, I'm done. This is awful, because it's one of those things. It's such a grind, and it wears on you.
But a coaching change kind of gives you that new spark. Yeah, renews hope. That's perfect. Because last year was terrible. Last year was awful.
It came back. I was done. My card was done. I couldn't took another year of Pruitt.
Which we talked about this some behind the scenes, like as a channel and growth of a channel, trying to build a YouTube audience. If Pruitt had come back, we would have been toast. People would have given up. And last year was miserable. Like, how many times, Dauber, did we get ready to come on for a post-game show? And it's like, I don't even want to do this because it was so
– it's like Groundhog Day. It was Groundhog Day.
there was nothing exciting. Like if there's some type of excitement in the offense or something going on, but there was just nothing last year. But like you said, a coaching change, new staff, new energy, it just renews hope. Feed the Faith Outdoors for $5. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. It says, let's hear an update on Walter Nolan. If we land him, it will be huge for recruiting. Well, I dropped a video that goes a little bit more in depth if you want to go back and check that out, but we can talk about it a little bit. Obviously scrimmaged. It was a jamboree inside of Neyland Stadium, made some comments about his top three. Said he could feel, possibly call Rocky Top home, run through that tunnel a few times. Indy Kid, I know you follow recruiting pretty heavily. Do you feel like Walter Nolan kind of changes gears depending on who he visited last? Because now all of a sudden Texas A&M skyrockets to the top three. He seems it's almost like the new girl giving him attention, and that concerns me. But on the flip side, I'm glad he's in Knoxville and close by.
That's a plus, him being in Knoxville. One thing I've seen consistent with Nolan, at one point, Tennessee wasn't even in his top 8. Then they were in it, and they've kept working him. And I think with Rodney Garner leading charge, I think with him right in their backyard, closer to campus, they're going to have a real shot at it. But, yeah, you're right. Texas A&M wasn't even in the fold, and then he visits Texas A&M, and now they're in his top 3. It's like I think I've seen Ryan Callahan 24/7 who said it multiple times, that there are analysts who are starting to believe Tennessee has a real shot to get him, but that the twists and turns in this recruitment are far from over.
Elijah Allen for $5. Thank you, Elijah, for another super chat. Just throwing money at us left and right. We appreciate that. It says being in the top 30 and recruiting at this point is an accomplishment based off of what's been going on with the program.
Yes and no.
Yeah, it is. I think he's right. But like you said, yes and no. I think he's right, but it's a hard pill to swallow.
I mean, you can only live off the past for so long. And we kind of talked about that in our series in the fall of the Vols. But you've also got to consider, look at the facilities. Look at the fan base that keeps showing up despite the product that's been on the field. It's one of those things. I think that we as fans can be fickle. We want to see wins. We want to see successes. We want to be relevant, and we've not been there. We've not been on a national stage in a positive manner for a very long time. So it's that trying to get back to where we were.
Let me hit this super chat real quick. Marcus Rush for $5. Thank you, Marcus. We appreciate it. It says, thanks for providing great content. Hope to see y'all on September 2nd. Go Big Orange. Thank you, Marcus. Glad you enjoy what we do. We'll be right here on September 2nd. We're probably going to do what we call a tailgate show. I'm already planning the menu. I'm going old school, barbecue wings on the grill, going to have a good time with the family. We'll probably jump on for a tailgate show about an hour before kickoff, hang out with you guys for about 45 minutes or so, and then we'll come back for the post-game show immediately following. Let me take this time to do some plugs. We got 184 people watching live right now, 95 thumbs up. Somebody help me get that to 100. Can we at least get it to 100? I mean,
200.
Almost 100 of you are watching, and you're not confident enough to say, this is good content. I'm going to hit that thumbs up. But also, I want to challenge you guys. Look, you grow this show. You make this show what it is. I feel like we have a unique thing going here. As much as I love Jason Swain, I love the Swain event, I love VolQuest, I love all these different platforms that you can go and get Vol content. But I feel like this is the one place that you guys are as much of the show as we are. We try to hit as many comments as we can. Let's grow this thing. Do me a favor. Hit that share button. Blast it out. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers. If we get to 10,000 subscribers, who knows what will happen? I'm sure the Indy Kid will be giving stuff away for free. I never know what's going to happen. But hit that like button. Share it out. We would appreciate that. I think I'm all caught up on Super Chats. Let me get another question from our Talkin VAWLS Facebook group, Larry Hildebrand. This is a good question. I like this question. Says, how much more talent do we have on this football team compared to last year? So many underachievers on that team's starting lineup. The difference a year makes in attitude and desire with the new staff. So, Indy Kid, I'm going to throw that to you. Let's compare talent on this football team compared to last year, a 3-win football team.
I think there are units that have more talent this year. I think there are units that had more talent last year. I definitely think the quarterback room is night and day from last year as far as talent goes. Running back, we lost talent with Gray and Chandler. But, I really think Small and Evans are going to be big. The offensive line, I would say there was more talent on it last year, but I do think this year's offensive line will outperform last year's. Receiver, you had a second-round pick get picked, so it's hard to say that there's more talent this year. It is – I think we all feel like there's a lot of talent at receiver, but it's unproven. Tight end's kind of a push. Defensive line, I'm going to say it's kind of similar to last year, but I do expect it to be better. I'm kind of torn on linebacker because I think when it's all said and done, I believe Juwan Mitchell is better than Henry To'oTo'o.
Wow.
Jeremy Banks and Crouch are a push. No, they swap back and forth. I think the secondary is going to be better. I think there's more talent in that secondary now than there was last year. Even though we had Bryce Thompson, I think overall there's more talent now. I really like the additions to the secondary. So, again, I know it kind of went on a little probably longer than you expected, but I think the similarities are there. I think the biggest upgrade, and Victor says it right here, the biggest upgrade is the coaching staff, and that's going to make a big difference. Juwan Mitchell, look at the numbers, guys. What Juwan Mitchell did at Texas compared to what Henry To'oTo'o did at Tennessee. Tell me, if you're taking the teams out of the equation, you're looking at this guy versus this guy, who's the better linebacker? Henry To'oTo'o could not cover on a slant. We'll see if Juwan Mitchell can, because I think that they'll probably – teams are going to test that. But, same thing. It's not the same staff to go on.
It'll be interesting to see Banks and to see if he is improved in coverage as a linebacker, because he looked completely lost last year if he dropped.
I think it was Brian Jean-Marie that was talking about Banks and just how much he loves him as a football player. So I'm with you. I hope that he has developed as an overall linebacker. But how long has he been at linebacker? One season?
Right.
One full season?
And like Victor said there, I think the biggest upgrade is going to be the coaching staff. And we're going to see improvements in the players on the field because they're being developed. They're being coached.
That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key, is development.
Let me get caught up on Super Chats. Then I want to go back and touch on something Indy Kid said earlier about the offensive line. Rob's Tennessee for 5. Thank you, Robs. We appreciate it. It says, compare Milton to Hooker's stats in both 2019 and 2020. I feel Hooker will end up being QB1. I think Hendon Hooker is steady Eddie, Mr. Consistent, but he doesn't have the ability to stretch the field as much as Joe Milton. I think this coaching staff likes Joe Milton's tools, and they feel like they can improve him mentally between the ears. I think that they feel that they can fix him. But look, the guy's got an absolute cannon.
Joe's always moving around. The first couple of practices during scramble drill, we'll kind of stop because we're so far down the field. But Joe's like, hey, man, I can throw it. I can launch it 70, 80 yards. You're good. So that's just something I kind of had to get used to. So, yeah, he can definitely throw it 70, 80 yards.
Those comments from the wide receivers never get old. They make me laugh. It makes me happy. It makes me smile almost as much as you guys hitting the like button. Feed the Faith Outdoors for 5. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, how big is that Pitt game? We need it for fan support. Any info on their talent level? Any clean advantage in any aspect of the game? I'll be honest. I don't really dive into the talent level of other teams, the grand scheme of things, maybe probably more in the SEC. When it comes game week, we'll do a more in-depth dive into that on the Tuesday night show. Do you guys know anything about Pitt? I really don't at this point.
Similar ranking. I mean, as far as where they're preseason, I think Pitt's 51, UT's at 48, so it's going to be similar. It's going to be I haven't seen spreads yet.
Tennessee will probably be favored small because of home field advantage.
It's going to be small. Yeah, it'll be almost a push.
I recall seeing somewhere that they lost a couple key guys either on offense or defense, so that they were going to be trying to plug guys back in there. I think maybe it was defensively, and I think that their quarterback is decent.
Like I said, we'll go more in depth as we go through the season. The Tuesday night show is typically a brief recap of Saturday, and then we go in and we talk about the upcoming opponent. So we'll get more in depth with that as the season goes on. Dustin Sellers for 5. Thank you, Dustin, for the super chat. Obviously, we lost some talent, but there was so much unproven talent because Pruitt kept them on the sideline. I'm confident in quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and the O-line. That's a good point. How many times did we sit here and talk about the talent at wide receiver, and they never could get on the field? It's a different coaching staff. It's a different atmosphere. Evan Counts for 5. Thank you, Evan, for the super chat. Says, how much to spend a game day with the kid? I want to see what it's like to hang with a superstar. I'll buy you a beer or a Coke, whatever. Let me tell you, it's real boring. He never shuts up. He just talks the whole time. There's a whole lot of, from your end, but I'm just kidding. He's blushing, guys. He's blushing. Look at that. I'll give Indy Kid a third of that super chat, just since he's such a nice guy. Let's go back to the offensive line. I want to talk about the offensive line. Indy Kid, you touched on it earlier. Glenn Ellerby gonna develop those guys. Are we going to see some improvement coming out of scrimmage number 1? We heard that the defensive line kind of dominated the day. Today it kind of comes out that it was more of an even matchup, which is good. We've touched on that. You want that back and forth. You don't want one side of the ball dominating. I think left to right, I've got it here in my notes. I think you're going to see Darnell Wright at left tackle. We've heard about, probably in the best shape of his career. Looks athletic, looks the part, lost a ton of weight. I know Austin Price over at VolQuest was kind of joking because he asked him how much weight he had lost, and he dropped some number like post-COVID what his weight was. And Austin Price was like, you know how that is. He's like, if somebody asks me how much I weigh, I say 240, even though it's more like 260. He's like, it's the same deal. But Darnell Wright's in shape. Left guard, I think Carvin, center, Cooper Mays, Spraggins, right guard, Cade Mays, right tackle. But Indica, when you look at this offensive line across the board, are you not concerned with depth? I think the starting 5, we may see some success, but it's a long season. What do you think of the depth, top to bottom?
Yeah, it is scary. It's unproven. It has to be coached up. Honestly, not much more to add. Outside of Roy Cade Mays and Carvin, I think that's your 2 most consistent guys.
We've seen such inconsistencies at offensive line the last couple of years, having to move guys to fill in a spot, really playing out of position where they should be, just because we didn't have anybody else to put there. I hope that the depth beyond those 5 that you mentioned is developed, and we see some guys kind of step up and are able to, come in and take, a couple plays, give those guys spells, because it is a long season. Inevitably, you're going to get somebody dinged up and banged up and out a game or 2. So
you talk about, coming in and giving those guys spell, especially when you talk about the speed of play, right? How fast they're going to be going.
Exactly.
Your backup tackle, which I'm glad to see Darnell Wright step up. I talked about that back in the spring. I feel like he needed to step up, rise to the occasion. And they're talking about using Dane Davis as kind of that third guy that can play the left side or the right side, backup Cade or Darnell, either one. But again, as much as I love Dane Davis, what a great story. We talk about it time and time again. He's from our neck of the woods. He's a walk-on, gets the scholarship. Love Dane Davis. But it's concerning that a former walk-on is now, that's who you're having to lean on for your depth.
It is a bit concerning, but sometimes those guys have that chip on their shoulder. They have that drive, and they get out there, and when it comes into it, they're gonna knock somebody off the ball just as much as a 4-star, 5-star kid that has been told how great they are their whole life.
5-star hearts, right?
Yeah,
5-star hearts. That's right. Champions of life.
Let me grab another question here from the Facebook group real quick. David Speaks says, I'm surprised we haven't seen position changes any this offseason. Example, Leonard Whitehead to linebacker, D Beckwith to tight end, or H-back, etc. And that's something we really haven't seen is any position changes. Any kid, are you surprised by that? I touched on it in the video this morning, hoping we would maybe get some answers. When you look at the running back room, you touched earlier on the loss of Eric Gray and Ty Chandler, huge loss. And I've said it over and over. I don't know that you can really replace a guy like Eric Gray. As good as I think Jabari Small can be, I don't think you can replace Eric Gray. But I like the running back room. I like Jabari Small. I like Tyon Evans. I think Tyon Evans has had a great couple of weeks of fall camp. I think we expect big things from him. You're hearing good things about Jalen Wright. I don't think D Beckwith is going to crack the top 3. Maybe you don't want it, but if an injury comes along, it's a long season. Maybe D Beckwith works his way into the rotation. But as of now, I don't see it. I don't see it. So have we overhyped him? That was my question this morning. Have we overhyped D Beckwith for his size, his athletic ability? Talking about, well, we need to move him to tight end. We got to find a way to get D Beckwith on the field. Are we overhyping the kid, or
Yes.
Are you a little surprised? You think so?
Not that he doesn't have the ability. I think the small sample we saw against Vanderbilt last year contributed to that. And you don't see many 6'5" running backs around. A lot of people want to compare him to Derrick Henry. That's the big thought. This guy could be the next Derrick Henry. Maybe he can be. But, yeah, I mean, based on what I'm seeing too, at best, not at best, I think he's running back 4. I think it goes Small, Evans, and I could even see a 1A, 1B with Small and Evans.
I think so.
Jalen Wright 3 and Beckwith 4. I still could see this staff getting creative with Beckwith based on the athlete, because you could run in goal line. You could spread him out. I don't know how much Josh Heupel's used like an H-back. Maybe he can use tight end. Really would not surprise me with Austin Pope retiring. And it wouldn't surprise me at some point. Not saying it's imminent or anything like that, but Whitehead is kind of the one that surprises me that hasn't moved. And from everything I read, he doesn't want to move. Probably but he can't stay on the field. Maybe he is a great running back, but can't stay on the field, but nobody can see it. Whitehead is 5th or 6th at best.
I can't imagine being Whitehead sitting in that running back room and not, you kind of look over the linebacker room and it's like, there's an opportunity there. And wasn't he recruited out of high school more as a linebacker than he was a running back?
I think he was more of an athlete, but a lot of the publications rated him high based on his ability as a linebacker.
But he came out of high school and had some big time foot damage and surgery, and he spent 3/4 of the year last year recovering from that. So it's hard to break into anything when you're in recovery mode and playing catch up.
I think, I think that's been the big thing. Like you said, he come in hurt. He's hardly been on the field. Anytime you hear it, he's working on the side. I don't know. You got to get on the field to make a difference. I'm like you, Boogie. I look at that linebacking room, though, which has more depth now. I'm still saying I can make a difference in that linebacking room opposed to the running back room.
Yeah, I mean, that's just my thought process. I just don't see I don't see Beckwith or Whitehead, either one, getting on the field unless it's because of injury. Let's jump over and talk about defense. Defense, obviously a big concern back in the spring. We talked about the defensive line getting pushed around. Any kid has gone on record saying he feels pretty good about the defense. With the additions in the transfer portal, looking at the pass rush. Do you guys think? Let's make another crazy comparison. Do you guys think that Byron Young? That's a name. He flashed in the first scrimmage. Oh, I don't usually like to plug other YouTube channels, but I'm going to do it anyway. What's his name? What is it? Kyler Kirbyson. Is that his name? Former offensive lineman. He's got a YouTube channel, podcast. He went to practice. It was a closed practice, and he kind of talked about the size and the ability, and he was talking about how one thing he liked about practice with the defensive line and offensive line is he said that guys would do something like the play would end, and instead of it being like, it's competitive, don't get me wrong, it's still competitive. But when the play ends, if it's a defensive end against a tackle, as soon as the play's over, they kind of start talking. And it's like, well, what did I do? What could I have done better here? What could I have done different? And they're kind of feeding off each other. And he talked about going, I think he went to Byron Young, and he said, your job is to make Darnell Wright and Cade Mays better because you got to bring it every single day in practice. So I'm going to make a crazy comparison. Is Byron Young, does he have the potential to be the best pass rusher at the University of Tennessee since Derek Barnett? That's huge shoes to fill. But Byron Young is getting a lot of hype. Can he feel any kids are just a flat out no?
I got to see the guy play a game first.
Got to prove it.
Yeah, let's let the guy play a game first.
Well, and here's something that may throw a wrinkle in your plan right there, Boogie. Brandon Scott's saying Young got hurt today is what he saw.
I don't think that's the case. I think that's Barron. I think Tyler Barron got hurt.
Okay.
I may be wrong. He may be right. I thought that I saw that Tyler Barron got hurt today, not Young. And please feel free to correct me if I am wrong. Yeah, Bradley Gordon. It's a crazy comparison. It's nuts. I just want to see somebody step up because it is crucial to that defense to get some pressure. JJ Banks confirming it was Tyler Barron that got hurt today, not Byron Young. Yeah.
Was it just dinged up? Was it serious?
No, I think he was just dinged up, and that looks like that's what Victor's saying, that Tyler Barron was dinged up. I don't think it's – I think Josh Heupel touched on it in the press conference. I don't remember exactly.
I still think Tyler Barron is your guy this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're getting so much more hype around Young.
Yeah, and I think Young hopefully lives up to it. But I think Barron's being undervalued. Barron looked good when he got opportunities last year. I think he'll make a difference in there. Obviously, if he's not hurt, but I like Tyler Barron. I think he's got an opportunity. I like this defense. I'm not sure what it is about it. And maybe I know a lot of people are worried about it. But one thing I like is all these guys on this side can coach football. They can all coach football. And, somebody, I guess, it's got to be, what was it, Eckler said, like a fart in a skillet.
That's your punt returner, man. Come on. Get your comparisons right.
Well, I mean, maybe you need it on the defense too. But I love what they did in the transfer portal with what they brought in. They've added nice depth at every position. And Heupel made a comment today about how he feels good about the depth that they're building. There's some really good coaches on that defensive side that are going to develop talent.
Well, the other thing that Heupel mentioned today, alongside the depth that they brought in, was some of these young guys that are just getting their chance right now and that are out there, making moves and proving it a little bit. So, you get some guys that come in from the portal that can contribute and can make an impact. And then you get some of these young guys that step up and, have themselves a year. We've talked about the secondary a little bit tonight. They should be a real strength, which that should allow your linebackers to kind of play loose and fast. And then if you can get some pressure from the guys up front, that's big on defense right there.
That's where it all starts up front. As much as we badmouth the linebackers and how they could not cover last year, the lack of pass rush absolutely destroyed any opportunity that defense had last year.
Oh, absolutely.
I know they could. That line was 2 years ago decent, and then they were just non-existent.
Coaching goes back to what you said. Coaching. And if you don't think
was a loss,
if you don't think Rodney Garner is going to improve the defense, look at the difference between the spring and now. And I played the clip a million times. I'm about to just play it again because I love it. But I love when Matthew Butler talks about Rodney Garner and how he gets after it. And he talks about how we all know who he is. We all know. He's the best in the country, and he's. An old quote, he's going to make chicken salad out of chicken crap is what he's going to do. And you've got a veteran defensive line. Saying a couple of years ago you thought they were going to be there's some veterans on that defensive line. And then you make some the addition of Terry and Caleb Tremblay. I'm with you, Andy Kid. I like this defense. And I know there's a ton of questions talking about Tim Banks, huge question marks around Tim Banks. We don't know what he's going to look like calling plays. I have some confidence in Josh Heupel knowing that he's running the offense. I've got some confidence in him. I just don't know about Tim Banks. It's a question mark. We'll find out. We're going to find out. I love him as a person. I love hearing him talk. Love the guy.
One thing I laugh about, we pretty much the praise for Rodney Garner is universal by anybody who covers it. But I shook my head at this because it was just another case of complaining. But Rodney Garner was the first member of the defensive staff hired before there was ever a coordinator. And I just laughed at people. So I hope they're not forcing Rodney Garner on that defensive coordinator. I'm glad they did force him on that defensive coordinator. You just hired arguably the best defensive line coach in the country. Why would you not do that? I mean, if you're bringing someone who's unproven in, I understand that. But why would you complain about Rodney Garner coming in, who's put numerous guys in the NFL, who recruits like a wild man, who was big-time responsible for some key players who brought us the only championships that we may see in our lifetimes?
Easy.
Don't understand why you complain about that.
Screw it. I'm playing the clip. Here we go.
Oh, he means a lot. We all know who Coach Garner is, from his past, and we all know who Coach Garner is to us right now. And he is a dude. He's the dude, He's the best of the best. So, you go in there, you listen to what he has to say, you apply it to your game right away. No ifs, ands, or buts about it because it works. So, it's been amazing.
What's he like behind closed doors? We see him kind of out here in practice being all fired up. I mean, what's he like in team meetings?
He is
kind of more reserved?
Definitely fired up out here. Y'all have seen it. He's a fiery guy, and he's going to be that way. Behind closed doors, obviously, he loves us. We love him. We can talk. He can be fiery like y'all see him. He can come down like he's a very well-rounded dude. Like he's a great dude to be around, point blank. He's going to shoot straight with you. All that stuff you see out here, that's football. When you're talking to me as a man or any of our other guys as a man, we're talking as men, and that's what it is. So that's good that you have a well-balanced individual coaching a group of guys like us.
That's a dude, man. He looks in good shape right there. Matthew Butler does, and that's a kid that I want to see him have a big-time senior season.
I do too, and then maybe he can put some books on tape or something out.
Put you to sleep. Just
Man.
That deep, wonderful voice. I wish I had that voice. I would just come on here and say, welcome to Talkin VAWLS. But I don't have that voice. Yeah, TK81 Butler with the gun show, dude. Just looking shredded.
Man, there's a few guys that's got that picture of Joe Milton today blew my mind. His arms are talking about gun show.
Well,
He definitely looks the part.
What have we heard from the receivers?
Well, I can play. I mean, do you want me to
dude,
really play another clip?
Dude's got a cannon and can throw it 70 and 80 yards. Come on.
I mean, they not all of them throw different, to be honest. They all really throw the same, except for Joe.
Dude, but that's something that's kind of been overlooked. We've not talked about, the strength and conditioning program. A lot of dudes are in the best shape of their career after one summer in a new strength program.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even tell you who the strength coach is.
Oh, man, I can't remember his name either. He came with Heupel from Central Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I know one of the strength and conditioning guys is Dan Brooks' son, who used to be at UT and then went to Clemson after Fulmer was fired. But I'm pretty sure there's that familiarity here as well. That's big. I mean, that's big.
Continuity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That familiarity and continuity. Everybody's on the same page. That was a big deal, I think, last year as well as new strength and conditioning coach. How many times have we seen a strength and conditioning coach change in Knoxville, and it's just disrupted things?
Nope.
I mean, it's happened numerous times. I still say that move, not to rehash the fall of the Vols. We talked, that was a big, bad move that led. I think it set the path for Butch Jones when he made the change.
Yep. Anything else on the defense? Nickel position. What do you guys think about the nickel position? Theo Jackson. Jackson and Slaughter both seem to be, you got Theo Jackson's the veteran. He's the guy with the experience. But I think that Nico Slaughter just has more raw athleticism. And I think that's why they're kind of neck and neck there.
And he's one of the younger guys that we saw a little bit last year early.
Didn't he start the first game, I think?
Yeah.
Started the first game or two, and then I don't know that we saw him the rest of the year. And you talk about talent sitting or standing on the sidelines for Pruitt and that staff when we couldn't stop a slant, when we looked lost in coverage, when you're supposedly a secondary guru, your defensive coordinator is supposedly a secondary guru, and that's one of the worst units that we had.
He went up against Shi Smith in that opener, and that was a tough matchup. I thought based on the matchup, and yeah, he didn't do great. I thought based on his experience, whom he was going up against, the help he got or lack thereof. What do you expect the guy? You throw him out on an island? He did he did a little bit. I mean, he did as much as anybody else who covered it for the year. I think it sucked that he started then, and Roy never got a chance. I was reading an article on him just a couple of days ago about how he still kind of got that bad taste in his mouth from that game. He's itching to get out there. And that brings another, with those two guys at nickel, somebody asked, what do we got at backup safety? I think that's an interesting question because really all the talk's been about corners. I mean, McCullough and Flowers I think they're locked in. But if something happens to one of them, I would think Theo Jackson probably moves back, or Christian Charles. They've talked about him.
A lot of hype around him.
You look at what they added in that secondary with Charles, with Deshaun Rucker, with Turnage, with Haddon. They added some fast, athletic guys in that secondary. The pickups they got were excellent.
Let me go back up here and hit this super chat. I'm working behind the scenes because I saw this super chat from Vol Nation News GBO for $1.99. Thank you for the super chat. It says, play the clip Vol football put on Insta just a few minutes ago. So I got it shared up here, and let me share my screen. We'll play it, and if this gets me copyright struck, I'm going to be mad at you, Vol Nation News GBO. But we'll share it up here and see. Can you guys see it? All right, here we go. I guess you can. Nobody answered.
See Instagram.
Go compete, play hard, play as hard as you can, snap the whistle, repeat all day long. Everybody got me? Loud and proud. Tennessee on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go play ball.
Who threw that dime?
You got 2 minutes here. You got 2 minutes. Here we go. Let's go, baby. Hey, we rocking all season, baby.
Is it just me, or is there an ongoing theme every time they show footage? There's 2 quarterbacks in the footage and one that's not. Am I crazy? Somebody tell me I'm crazy.
One more than other. Also,
yeah. Seems to be a whole lot of number 7, a little sprinkle of number 5. I don't know where HB15's at. I don't know where he's at.
and I'll even go and say this where you're stating a fact. You're not saying it gloating about it. We don't care who starts. We don't care. But some of you're dead set that it's
That's
Harrison
why
Bailey. If it is, fine.
Right.
That's great. But
it goes back to the beginning. It's not about that we think Joe Milton is the next Peyton Manning. It's that we're trying to lay out all the pieces of the puzzle that indicate that Joe Milton's going to start. And then you scream about it. And I say you. There's 230 people watching. There's about 4 people that yell about it. But look, it just is what it is. There's a whole lot of Joe Milton out there. John Hill says, we'll know more about those quarterbacks when the red jerseys come off. Something that I'll argue with you on that about is the fact that Joe Milton had a nice scramble touchdown in last week's scrimmage. And when you got that red jersey on, it's 2-hand touch. That means he scrambled. It was over 50 yards because you saw the last 50 of it, and nobody could put a hand on him. Nobody could get to him to touch him. Do you realize how difficult that is? So he didn't have to run over anybody with that gigantic. He's bigger than the linebackers, man. Joe Milton is bigger than the linebackers.
yeah, somebody said earlier, what was the first quarterback to get a sack at linebacker?
Yeah.
Joe Milton. I don't know, man. Maybe it's the orange tinted glasses. The old blood's starting to get boiling, boys. It's been a bit. It's been at least about 4 to 5 years since the blood's been boiling, since Dobbs was coming back for senior year. And, of course, that season deflated. But I think this team's going to surprise some people. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're winning 9 or 10 games. I have said my opinion on the schedule. I think there's 3, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. I have to see it to believe it. We just don't match up with those teams right now. Florida's probably the closest, but keep in mind, guys, Mullen can coach. He's a kooky dude. He's kind of weird. The guy can coach. He's going to have Florida playing well, even though he's changing quarterbacks. He is a quarterback guru. Somebody will take that offense over, and it may take them a game or 2, but they'll be ready. As always, they'll be ready come Tennessee game. But there are 9 games on that schedule. Winnable. Not saying they will win them, but there are 9 winnable games. I'm going with Vegas on this one. I'm kind of getting ahead. I know we'll do season predictions later, but Vegas is saying 6.5 wins, which rounds up to 7. I'm going 7-5 as well. I'm excited. I think, and maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, guys. Obviously, don't go off my predictions, but I think there's a lot of games on that schedule. What's that?
I'm gonna bet the farm. Thanks, Indy Kid.
Do it, man.
Guaranteed money.
Yep.
Well, yeah, is when you break it down and you look at it. I'm at 6. I'm at 6. So it sounds like based on Vegas, you're taking the over. I'm taking the under. But I think 6.5 is spot on. They're forcing you to, either go 6 wins, 7 wins. And I think that's right where Tennessee is at. And that's why, I made the videos making fun of Mike Farrell. I made the video making fun of Saturday Down South. Saturday Down South, I don't know if y'all even watched the video I put out about it. They predicted 3 wins. The 3 wins on the schedule are Bowling Green, Tennessee Tech, and South Carolina. That was the 3 wins. That was the 3 wins.
What about South Alabama?
Talked about their high-powered offense and how they were going to beat Tennessee.
Okay.
That's the lack of respect that Tennessee is receiving right now. When I look at the schedule, I see Bowling Green, I see Tennessee Tech, South Alabama, guaranteed wins, Pitt. That's a push, but I think there's so many toss-ups on this schedule. So for the people that come in and say that 3 wins, 4 wins, that's it. That's a possibility. Like the Indy kid said, when the Indy kid says he sees 9 wins, what he's saying is that's the ceiling. Well, on the flip side of that, there is also a floor, and the floor can be 3 wins. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, that's possible. That doesn't mean that's our prediction.
Absolutely.
My opinion is I'm going with Bowling Green. I'm like you. Pitt's a push. That's a tough game, but that's a must win. Somebody's got to set that tone in Knoxville. I've harped on this for a long time. Maybe I'm crazy. That's a must win game. Pitt, I'm going to call it. Tennessee's going to get this tenure off to the right start. But just as easy, they could lose that game. There's no doubt if they show up and don't play, Pitt can come in and win that game. Tennessee takes a win. I'm not prepared to say Missouri is a loss. Missouri has a good coach, developed that team last year. They did not beat anybody that was really any good, though. They did what they were supposed to do and maybe even overachieved a little bit. Tennessee will have a shot to beat Missouri. I'm not saying they will. South Carolina is in the same shape, if not worse than Tennessee. I really believe that. Tennessee at home has to win that game. I think Ole Miss is going to be – go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think South Carolina's quarterback just got banged up. I don't know how serious it is.
Doty, I think he did.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how serious it is, but
I think Ole Miss is going to be a tough win. I think they're a year ahead of us in their change and with their offense. I think that's going to make a big difference. Kentucky's going to be tough. Make no mistake about it. It's going to be a tough game. And the last 2, Tennessee's winning the last 2 games.
Look, I see, looking at that right now, I see 5 games that are swing games. Pitt, Missouri, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. And I think just based on the fact that 3 of them are in Knoxville and 2 are on the road, it's tough to go on the road in the SEC week in and week out and play good football because you're getting your best shot anywhere you go. But I think that especially the Pitt and the South Carolina game being in Knoxville, I think that plays heavy in Tennessee's favor. The Missouri game and the Kentucky game, it's going to be tough to go on the road and play against both of those teams. I think Missouri is probably a little bit further along than Tennessee, and I think Kentucky is that they're also trending. They're trending up. They've been getting after it recruiting wise, and they've had some success. But I think the main thing is looking at this schedule. Tennessee has to take care of business in the games that they're supposed to take care of. You've got to go out and you've got to beat Bowling Green, beat Tennessee Tech, beat South Alabama soundly. You've got to get other guys on the field, get more game reps, get some depth built up, some experience, and then you go out and those toss-up games, you hope a couple things bounce your way, and those are really you ride some momentum 3-0 going down to Gainesville. Like Indy Kid said, there's new quarterback. Who knows? That's why they play the games. If you just looked at based on paper, it wouldn't be near as fun.
I think that Missouri is gettable. I really do.
Oh, I do too.
Let me hit Alex Stoffel, new member of the channel. Thank you for coming. Remember, everybody go drop your custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat. Glad to have you on board as a member. Sorry to cut you guys off there.
No, I was just going to say, I think the Missouri game absolutely is winnable. I think it is. Missouri has a bit of an advantage playing at home.
But at the end of the day, it goes back to what you said, Dauber. There's five swing games. Swing games. I think we're all in agreement that Bowling Green, Tennessee Tech, South Alabama, and Vanderbilt should be wins. That's 4 wins. That's 4 wins that I feel that I can bet the farm on that Tennessee is going to get. So then you throw in the 5 swing games, and that's where it goes back to there's a floor and there's a ceiling. The ceiling is 9 wins. The floor means it's complete disaster. You're losing to teams you don't have no business losing to. You get to that Vanderbilt game and you slip up and you lose it, and now you're sitting on a 3-win season, and we're all going to be sitting here questioning whether or not Josh Heupel will ever have success at Tennessee. If he only wins 3 games, he's going to be called out. And, this channel, we've been called sunshine pumpers and all this bullcrap from stupid people. We call it like it is. If Josh Heupel doesn't succeed, we will call it like it is. But for now, I choose to be optimistic until Josh Heupel gives me a reason not to be. Let me hit this other member. Bradley Evans becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Bradley. We appreciate that. But I don't see the point in being negative for the sake of being negative. Josh Heupel's not coached a game inside of Neyland Stadium yet. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not going to get it done until he does.
Absolutely. And everything I've seen comments about Ainge, Swain, there's Kirbyson. All these guys seem to really talk about how well this team looks coached when they've watched them behind the scenes. I think that's a big deal. And they compared it to last year. And I hate to bring up last year, but that's a difference. I think there's similar talent levels, but I think there's much better coaching. I think there's much better organization from the top. And that's going to make a big deal. And I really believe Heupel will let his guys on defense do their thing. He's over the offense, and he has guys he trusts with him. I think this will be a fun season. And who knows, we may be wrong on that. And like I said, 5 toss-ups. I think there's 4 games they should definitely win. I think Pitt, some of the people say Missouri would have beat Tennessee last year with different court. I don't agree. Tennessee was still playing decent ball at that time. That was before the wheels had fallen off. Maybe it would have been a better game, but Tennessee won that game handily last year.
Something I want to see, and Dauber kind of touched on it, is that Bowling Green game. I want to see him come out and just put it on them early. And somebody in the Talkin VAWLS group, when I was asking if anybody had any questions, people were talking about rust. Oh, they've got some rust, and don't put too much into that Bowling Green. No, I'm going to put a lot into that Bowling Green game, because if Tennessee has rust, Bowling Green should have rust too. Tennessee has way more talent. Let's go out, take care of business, put a beating on them. And like Dauber said, I want to see a lot of guys get opportunities in that game. I don't want to start off the season with one of these struggling out of the gates, and it's a 1-score game at halftime, and Tennessee pulls away and wins by 2 touchdowns or some nonsense. Put a beating on them, do it early, and don't leave any doubt.
Go to week 2 against Pitt
with some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And something we've always heard for years. I don't know if this is always true. Whatever, show what you got and pour it on them. You've always heard, which I don't know how true it is. Keep it vanilla. They're keeping it vanilla. That's the stupidest philosophy. If that's true, and I wouldn't doubt coaches that have been down there have kept it vanilla, And guys, somebody say I say down there. I'm referring to Knoxville when I say down there. They do coach down there.
Pruitt said his defense was so complicated that he had to tone it down after the first couple of weeks.
I want let me hit the super chat because I got to bring this point up. Evan counts for $10. Thank you, Evan, for that generous super chat. Says, I'm sure we win way more games when you're not running the ball up the middle on first, second, third, and fourth down with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, like micromanage Pruitt did. Or why not say it? Or you could throw Harrison Bailey in when the game's over and let him check down 18 times. So his stats look real good, so people can come to the comments and talk about his stats, because that's all that matters is stats. Stats don't mean anything. Stats don't mean anything.
Show what you got. Yeah.
Where were we? Goodness gracious. I was so fired up to make a point. Oh, going back, talking about keeping it vanilla against Bowling Green. No, put a beating on them. Let bring it all out. I'm over that keep it vanilla stuff, saving stuff. And one of the things that Kirbyson talked about was that there were rumors that Jeremy Pruitt was planning 4 games ahead when Tennessee lost to Georgia State. And so many of the VFLs were kind of communicating behind the scenes saying there's no way this is possible. And then they confirmed it, that Jeremy Pruitt was game planning for 4 games when they went out there and lost to Georgia State and BYU in back-to-back weeks. Focus on Bowling Green. Throw everything at them. I don't care.
The job at hand.
Yes. No more keeping it vanilla. Put a beating on them. Bring all the tricks out. Onside kicks. Go for it on fourth. I do not care. No more nonsense. No more keeping it vanilla. Put a beating on Bowling Green.
Yeah, I mean this whole adage of saving it for flow. What are you saving? Just what's the objective? Win. Exactly. Win. And I'm like you with Bowling Green. I want to see everybody from the first string down to the walk-ons playing that game. So I want to see these guys get some time.
Are you going Madden style and not even bringing the punter in? You going for it on fourth down?
4th and 27.
If I'm on my side, if I'm on the other side of the 50, I'm not punting.
It's like NCAA days right there.
That's right.
Just put a
Unless it's like 420, then I may punt. But yeah, I'm making a statement. I want to excite this fan, but this fan base has seen conservative and vanilla and heard the same excuses for so long. And if I'm Josh Heupel, I should know that. And I've said it before, you don't want to listen to the fan base, but at the same time, do you not want to amp them up a little bit too, though? You thinking, I'll go for it here. Let's drive it down our throats and show his fan base what we're all about.
He seems to have his finger on the pulse. He really does. Heupel does. So I hope they come out and make a statement in that Bowling Green game. We're about
for Joe Milton to make that statement.
Turning the screws.
Me too, buddy. By the way, I was pulling up the YouTube app on my phone, and the first comment that I saw said, well, I was going to watch the live stream tonight, but it's the Joe Milton show. Maybe I'll try next time. It comes as no surprise. People hate Joe Milton. Whatever. If he takes care of business, you guys will love him. We're about to wrap this thing up. We got over 240 people watching live. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please smash the thumbs up. It's a bit, it's a joke, it's a gag. But it does help the channel, so we would appreciate it if you would do that. We got 236 watching right now, 178 thumbs up. Smash that button. Also, you guys, you build this channel. We need your help. We are on the path to 10,000 subscribers. That was the goal for the end of the season. Let's hit it now. Let's just hit 10,000 before the end of the season. So the way you can do that, there's a share button just below the video. Hit that. Post it on Twitter. Post it on Facebook. If you have friends that are Tennessee fans, tell them about Talkin VAWLS. Get them in the chat. Tell them that, it's interactive. We want them to be a part of the show as well. So help us out, share it out, do all that good stuff. Also, you can pick up the official merchandise of the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Did you guys see these yet? I love these designs.
Yeah.
I love the design. The baseball 3/4 sleeve. I love that. We added tank tops, women's and men's tank tops. I don't have the guns to show that off. Joe Milton could probably, rock that shirt pretty good.
Matthew Butler.
Matthew Butler could wear that shirt. But check it out. We still got the Diamond Ball shirts. All the old school merch is still in there for now. So pick it up, help out the channel, all that good stuff. But more than anything, like I said, guys, just smash that thumbs up. Tell somebody about Talkin VAWLS. It helps us. I appreciate you guys showing up week in and week out. Evan Counts with another 10. Thank you, Evan, for the super chat. Says big shout out to your families for letting y'all hang with us so much. I appreciate you realizing that. Like I try not to bring it up too much, but even tonight, I reminded my wife, I was like, we got Talkin VAWLS tonight. She's like, oh, we've been so busy. She's like, I really thought that tonight we were just going to have a night off to do nothing. I'm like, nope, got to go to work. There's 200 and some people waiting for myself, Dauber, and the Indy Kid to come talk UT football. But look, I say that to say this. We love doing this show. It is so much fun. I love There's so many people in this chat that when I see your names, I recognize them. We appreciate you guys showing up. Elijah Allen drops another 5, says, I like the chances of us beating Florida more than Ole Miss. That Florida game is going to be so hyped up if Tennessee beats Pitt. If they beat Pitt and they roll into Florida 3-0, this fan base is going to be buying in. Everybody is going to be talking about Joe Milton. But that's it. It's going to wrap it up for this show. He's Dauber. He's the Indy Kid. My name is Boogie Bentley. Don't forget to tune in every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Also Saturdays immediately following the games. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
The songs, how